The diagnosis had settled into the room like a storm cloud that refused to move. Jonathan Hale sat perfectly still, his tailored suit replaced by a simple gown, hands folded as if attending a meeting. Outside the glass walls, the city shimmered in evening light. Inside, the air felt heavier than gravity. Stage 3 cancer, aggressive. Treatable, if he agreed to begin immediately, he did not. Jonathan was known as a billionaire investor, decisive, relentless, always in control. For decades, he had built companies, reshaped industries, and avoided vulnerability with precision. But this was different. This was a battle he couldn't negotiate. He read the treatment plan again: chemotherapy, surgery, months of recovery. He shook his head. "I won't spend my remaining time in a hospital," he said calmly. The doctors exchanged concerned glances. His refusal wasn't denial, it was defiance. Across the table stood Dr. Elena Ramirez, the youngest attending physician in the department. She had seen fear in patients before, but this was not fear. This was control wrapped around grief. "Without treatment," she said gently, "the outcome will be certain. With treatment, we have a strong chance." Jonathan looked at her steadily. "Time is the only thing I can't buy back, and I refuse to lose it in pain." Her heart tightened. She understood his logic but not his surrender. The consultation ended without agreement. That night, Elena remained in her office long after the staff had left. The city lights flickered outside her window. She reviewed Jonathan's scans again and again, searching for something that could shift his decision. It wasn't just his wealth that made this case unusual, it was the speed of the disease. Waiting would close doors that medicine could not reopen, and then she noticed something subtle in his file. He had no close family listed, no emergency contact beyond legal representatives. His public image was powerful, but his personal life appeared empty. Elena felt a quiet responsibility form inside her, not because he was rich, but because no one should face this alone. The next morning, she requested one more meeting. Jonathan expected another argument. Instead, she asked a question: "If you refuse treatment, what are you afraid of?" He paused. The room fell silent except for the distant hum of equipment. "I'm afraid," he admitted, surprising even himself, "that if I become weak, I'll disappear. The world respects strength. I built everything on that." Elena leaned forward slightly. "Strength isn't the absence of vulnerability. It's choosing to fight even when you're afraid." He studied her carefully. She was not pleading. She was not flattering. She was simply present. Over the following days, Elena made a decision that would challenge hospital policy. She proposed a modified treatment plan, one that minimized hospitalization time and allowed Jonathan to continue remote oversight. It required additional coordination, longer hours, and personal oversight from her. Some colleagues warned her against overextending, others reminded her of institutional boundaries, but she believed that medicine should adapt to patients, not just diseases. She explained the plan to Jonathan in detail, including risks, no promises, only transparency. For the first time, he listened without interruption. "You're willing to adjust everything for one patient?" he asked quietly. "Yes," she replied, "if it gives him a real chance." He searched her face for motive, found none except conviction. That evening, Jonathan agreed. Treatment began the following week. The early sessions were difficult. Fatigue settled in, appointments became routine, but Elena remained involved, checking progress personally, adjusting dosage carefully, and ensuring he was not overwhelmed. Gradually, something unexpected happened. Jonathan began to talk about the pressure of constant competition, about trust issues formed in boardrooms, about building wealth but losing connection. Elena listened without judgment, offering steady reassurance. One afternoon, during a particularly exhausting session, Jonathan looked at her and said, "You risked your reputation for me." She smiled softly. "I risked nothing that mattered more than your life." His expression shifted. For the first time in years, he felt valued not for influence but for existence. Months passed. The tumor responded, slowly, carefully, but unmistakably. The hospital staff noticed the change not just in his scans but in him. Elena saw the transformation unfold with quiet pride. The billionaire who once refused help had become a patient willing to fight. One afternoon, as sunlight poured through the windows, Jonathan completed a milestone scan. The results showed significant improvement. It wasn't a miracle, it was commitment. Elena entered his room with the report in hand. She didn't need to speak immediately. The expression on her face told him everything. He exhaled slowly. "I guess I owe you more than gratitude," he said. She shook her head. "You owe yourself the credit. You chose to try." Jonathan realized something profound in that moment. He had built empires on risk. Now he understood that accepting help was not weakness, it was courage in a different form. Treatment would continue, but the trajectory had changed. As he prepared to leave the hospital that day for home recovery, he turned to Elena. "You didn't just treat my illness," he said, "you treated my fear." Her eyes softened. "That's part of medicine too." Months later, Jonathan funded a comprehensive cancer support initiative not as publicity but as gratitude. The program emphasized early detection, emotional counseling, and flexible treatment options. But the most important change was personal. He no longer equated strength with isolation. And Elena, reflecting on the journey, understood that sometimes the greatest risk a doctor can take is believing in a patient when the patient has stopped believing in themselves. Jonathan survived because he chose to try. Elena's willingness to challenge hesitation made that choice possible. Their story was not about wealth, it was about trust. And about the moment when someone decided that saving a life was worth stepping beyond comfort. True courage is not refusing help, it is accepting it when it matters most. And sometimes one act of professional bravery can rewrite a future that once felt inevitable. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below and subscribe to Cinematic Whispers for more powerful stories.